Hello, this is my three people audience today for my presentation or speech.
Hello everyone, it's good to see each and every one of you today. I want to thank you for spending a little time with me to hear of my informative speech. My presentation will be about the subject of living life longer. I hope you will benefit from it as much as I do. I want to begin by saying mankind from the beginning has quest for immortality, but never able to find it. 5,000 years ago, a Chinese emperor traveled long distance to search for eternal life. And he took medicine and bathed in hot springs and tried to restore his youth, and he found none. Centuries later, an ancient Greek god named Dionysus was a god of wine and food, thought to give eternal life to people if they eat his food. But nothing happened. In recent time, Faust, a German magician and alchemist, sold his soul to the devil in exchange for immortality, power, and knowledge and youth. However, until this day, immortality is nowhere to be found. Well, the next best thing man can do perhaps is to achieve longevity of life. So in the subject of living life longer presentation, I want first to use the resources of the book called The Longevity Project by Dr. Lewis Terman, Howard Friedman, and Leslie Martin. In this study, Dr. Terman started out in 1920s, and he selected a group of young adults, and he asked them a lot of questions about their life. And this is the book. And the question that he asked was this. He basically did a survey of the adult, and in this survey he will determine how the people are by grading them. You know, the grade is between 10 and 50. And in 1956, Dr. Terman died, and his study was continued by Dr. Friedman and Martin, who also did the same thing. So all of the doctors studied from the 1920s until the 20th century produced the same result between the two groups of people they selected. They found that there are two groups of people, the conscientious young adult and the unconscientious young adult. They found that young conscientious adults are people who do things to protect their health and not involved in risky business, like excessive drinking, abusing drugs, sexual promiscuity, smoking, and driving fast. They were thrifty, persistent, detail-oriented, and lived responsibly. Conscientious adults also had more chemicals in their brain, particularly the chemical called serotonin. Serotonin is a chemical similar to found in the drug Zoloft or the drug, some of the drugs that help depression. So serotonin can be obtained by aerobic exercise, drinking milk, and exposed to bright light. The third and final most intriguing reason conscientious people live healthier and longer is they create healthy relationships in family and work with friends and situations for themselves in life's journey. Another source that we can explore on this topic of living life longer is the book The Longevity Revolution by Dr. Robert Butler. In his writing, chapter 20, Dr. Butler connects longevity and quality of life. Dr. Butler gathered information from numerous sources, and he pointed to the similarity of Dr. Terman and Friedman and Martin. Now, the similarity are these. The conscientious people manage their daily hazards. Their happiness came from doing one's own thing in the circumstances. The National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey has a study of 6,000 people for 10 years. They found that the level of happiness depends on people's relationships, their education, and their wealth in life. Dr. Sidney Katz sees the quality of life is taking care of oneself in daily living. Now, Dr. Butler wrote, charity is also one of the components in happiness, providing help and cares to others. It's amazing to see that how the doctors in different generations have did the research, came up with a result that mirror each other. To sum up the findings, basically, Dr. Butler said, who is the author of the book, Longevity Project? We have the responsibility and actively promoting our own quality of life and make contribution to those around us. I personally experienced that in my life. I either have most of the characteristics or all of them. I live in a rented room, $300 a month. I have no financial worry. I regularly help the needy in person or in finance. Many times I bought groceries for the needy families. I have a gym membership and I go there regularly. Well, we need to move on to the next section of learning. The source I'm using is Dr. Peter Goff, Live Longer and Live Better. Dr. Goff stated that people who actively exercise continue to ski, to run, and to compete in tournament tennis in the 80s and 90s. He said that people who were over 40, when they start an exercise, they need to check with the doctor before they start the exercise regimen. He said the thing with exercise is to do it, and to do it safely, to do what is best for you. And he said that we have to be careful in exercise because exercise can cause injury that we don't want. One of the true life stories that we know in life is Jack LaLanne. Jack LaLanne, considered to be the father of fitness in America, he lived into the age of 96. He regularly exercised 2 hours a day into his 90s. In his word, he said, dying is easy, but living is not. It is like an athlete event. You got to train for it. You got to eat right. You got to exercise. Your health account, your bank account, they are one the same. The more you put in, the more you can take out. Exercise is king and nutrition is queen. Together you have a kingdom. Good advice. The last thing and final source in our learning today is the book written by Paul and Patricia Bragg, entitled Bragg's Healthy Lifestyle, Vital Living to 120. Dr. Paul Bragg was born in 1895. He passed away in 1976. He lived into his 80s. He lived through time of 15 U.S. president. And his daughter was born in 1929, Patricia, and she's still living today. She is 86. And in their life experience, he said that the diet that he had helped him to live life longer. Particularly the diet in the South Sea Islands. He said he ate raw tropical fruit, vegetable, lightly cooked cook vegetable. He said he didn't eat fish or eggs or meat during those times, but he was able to paddle a long trip on the ocean in a canoe and climbing high mountains. And there was a story about the 3 Hebrew young men who refused to eat the king's food and ate only vegetable and drink water. They did it for 10 days, and the results shown they looked healthier and better than those who ate at the king's food. And one thing that Dr. Bragg wants us to do is to detox our body by fasting. He said that every Monday he fasts, and he fasts 3 days, the first 3 days of the month. Fasting help to produce hormone, help to produce boost immune system, lower cholesterol and high blood pressure. Many other things we can list which we don't have time. To sum up our learning today is, in closing, I want to summarize what we learned today. We learned that conscientious people take responsibility for their health and their daily living. Okay? And the benefit of exercise and diet, those are the points that we learned. There is a study of 100 adults in their 40s done by Stanford University. Stanford University did a study of 50 adults. They divided 50 adults did not exercise and 50 who did. And the one who did lived into their 90s, and the one who did not lived into their 70s. Well, that concludes my presentation today. Any question?